Good morning, everyone. Welcome to Soul School Network. I'm Greg, your host this week. And we have a special guest with us, John Michael Lander, who is a member of our group, but also has an amazing story to tell and some uplifting words for us. We'll get a little bit more into that story momentarily, but as we always do, we'd like to start off with our grounding meditation. Horianka's here with us. She's not on camera, but she is going to guide us through our grounding meditation just to get us into the spirit of the Soul School Network. So, Horianka, the stage is yours.
Thank you. Thank you, Greg. We can start by closing our eyes or softening our gaze, relaxing our bodies. We're going to focus our attention on the breath, breathing in and out, gently but deeply, in and out. Now we're going to start scanning our bodies for any tension there might be. We're going to start at the head. We're just going to observe without making any judgment out of anything. We're going to observe the crown of the head, the back of the head, your face, and just notice how you perceive any tension. The neck, and now we scan our shoulders too. Your arms, all the way down to the hands, the back, chest and abdomen, the rest of the body, your legs, all the way down to the feet. Have you noticed any tension? Maybe perceived as an energy, a color, a sensation of heaviness. Whatever it is, let it slide down your body to your feet and let that tension exit through the soles of the feet and go into Mother Earth for transmutation. Let all the tension leave your body. And Mother Earth receives that energy to transform it into life-giving energy. Feel your energetic connection to Mother Earth through the soles of your feet. Now roots are growing from the soles of your feet into Mother Earth. Let the roots grow deep, all the way to the core of the earth. You are a beloved child of God, a beloved child of Mother Earth. You are loved and supported. You are loved and supported. You are loved and supported. You are safe, connected to Mother Earth. You are grounded and centered. Grounded and centered. Grounded and centered. We can go back to paying attention to our breathing. Breathing in and out. Gently. In and out. In and out. And slowly you can start moving your fingers, your body very, very slowly. You can open up your eyes and come back to this now moment.
Thank you so much, Koryanka. Um, it's always so nice to have you starting things off with us with a great way of connecting to Mother Earth and to all that we appreciate. So welcome everybody. It is May the 10th, 2026. My name is Greg and welcome to Soul School Network. Today we have a special guest. I'd also like to just thank our regular group who are here with us and also those who follow us on Facebook and also on YouTube. You're always welcome to join us for the live sessions at 10 Eastern time on every second Sunday morning. And information on that is posted on our website and also on Facebook. Our guest today is John Michael Lander. John Michael, of course, is a regular visitor with our group and contributor as well. John Michael's story is one that connects really with something that is of importance going on today in the news. You know, we've all heard about the Epstein files, Jeffrey Epstein, the powerful individuals around him who, you know, are implicated in something that is really difficult, I think, for the world to understand. The abuse of children, the trafficking of people that's happening around the world. And John Michael Lander, he's an author, he's a speaker, he's also a former athlete, and it was through his experiences as a young man and his experiences as he worked towards a bid to be in the Olympics that he had an experience and experiences that really changed his life and also gave him a direction in his life to help others who live through the same situation and also motivate people who haven't necessarily been through that situation, but in helping them to really find purpose in their lives. Today's topic is remembering who you are. John Michael will talk about how we can find our true self in a noisy world. And I think what he'll do is tell us a little bit about his story, and then we'll open things up for questions after that. John Michael, welcome.
Thank you, Greg. I hope you all can hear me.
Yeah.
That was a great introduction. And I just want to really start off and say thank you, Susan, for trusting me and inviting me to be on this platform with you all today, because it's a true honor. I have to say, I'm truly nervous. Now, I've spoken all over the world, but yet today means so much more to me than any other time I've ever shared my story or shared anything. And I think it's because of all of you. And it's the fact that, you know, I've been able to come in here and listen and learn and be a part of something bigger than what I've ever experienced in my life. And I get nervous also because I look at all of you, each individual one of you, as experts in what you're talking about, soul and spirit and all this stuff. And I'm so grateful for Koryanka for that grounding meditation, because I really needed it this morning. So thank you for that. What I would like to start out with is just to say I would like to create this as a conversation, not me lecturing or anything. So if you have questions, please jump in. I would like to take my story and use it to what I'm trying to talk about, how to try to find our authentic self, which is really has never left us. And there are different ways people, how can I say it, label it or whatever. It could be true self, it could be authentic self, it could be the inner self. But I don't want our definitions and meanings to complicate what we're doing today. So today is just going to be a really simple kind of overview, and we can go deeper and dive deeper as we go in. So let me just be honest and tell you a little bit about my story and then how this is morphed into what I'm doing today. Let's see, as a 14-year-old Olympic-bound athlete, the adults that were entrusted in my training groomed and sexually trafficked me for all 4 years of my high school. So it wasn't just one person. It was a group of professionals out of Columbus, Ohio, which was part of Ohio State University. And if you know the history of Ohio State, that doctor there was part of this group. And the interesting thing about this whole thing is that I was presented an opportunity, if that makes sense. A lot of people talk about trafficking and how people get trafficked as vulnerabilities. I came from a very modest family. My father was an architect. I was very popular in school. I was in the top of my class. I was class officer, yearbook editor. Everyone knew who I was. By the time I was 14, I took 8th at the Junior Olympics, which made a big deal for everybody because then I was in the media. And by being in the media, I thought was my 15 minutes of fame. This lawyer read about the article. And what we didn't know is that after the lawyer read the article, he went to my team, the board members of my team, and started pitching this incredible idea that he had. And his idea was that he had this group of professionals. They weren't all just men, but they were professionals. They were making like 6 figures, and he wanted to sponsor the team. That's how he presented it to them. He would create new diving equipment because I was a diver. He was going to bring in swimsuits, warm-ups, and a new coach. All this sounded incredible to our team board, right? Because we were just a YMCA out in the middle of Lebanon, Ohio, which was a rural area. And so they were like, why are you coming to us? We're just so small. And they've said, because you have this young athlete and we want to make sure that he can get every opportunity he can to get to the Olympics. So my diving board team, whatever you want to call it, signed a contract with him. And then he went and talked to my mother. It was only after that he had the board supporting him did he ever come talk to my mother. He talked to my mother, took her out to dinner, had a lot of conversations. This went over a couple of months, and he explained to her that what my parents have done has been incredible, but they do not have the means to get me to the Olympics. It just is impossible. Coaching time, pool time, all this stuff. And so she was sitting there listening to him, and she thought, well, we really want to help him do the best he can. And then he threw a really nice little opportunity into her and said that all the professionals, whatever business that they have, they will help the family. So if there was a doctor, you needed a doctor's appointment, the doctor would take care of that. If there was a surgeon, whatever it was, they would help. Medicine, anything. And so that really caught our attention because my youngest sister had a sledding accident and needed to have reconstructive surgery on her chin. Everything was going to be taken care of without a penny from my parents. And so she thought that was really pretty amazing. And he said that the only thing that he required of her was to make sure that I was at the right place, at the right time, in the right attire that they call and tell her to have me in. And she thought that was simple. So she signed a contract. And then so that contract, after those two had been signed, then they came and did he ever speak to me? And he took me out to lunch and started telling me about all this incredible opportunity and how they really believed in what I was doing. And I was doing amazing things. To be 8th at the Junior Olympics at such a young age was a phenomenal thing. And they were ready to make me go to the Olympics, help me get there, whatever it took. And so, listening to him, I was like, this is too good to be true. But wait a minute, if my parents said it was okay, then it must be okay. And he also shared with me that there were 3 things I needed to do for him. And that was to keep my grades up and stay on the honor roll and, dean's list. 2, do the best I could in competitions. And 3, not upset the professionals. That sounds simple enough. But he also told me how by doing this, I was helping my family. And that was the key. That was what really got me because I really wanted to help my sister and, and everybody was going to get eyeglasses or whatever they needed. And so I said, okay. And then I signed my contract. And he did. They delivered. This professional group brought in the new diving equipment, the new swimming suits, the new warm-ups. We looked fantastic. And they also brought in a new coach who was just an All-American at at Ohio State University, and everything was set up. And everything started to work. And I started winning medals and I started winning competitions. Well, basically, the whole point was is that I was with these very important people, and this is what I call the CEO of trafficking, and is what I call the predatory grooming trifecta, which we saw with the U.S. Gymnastics with the women, which we saw at Ohio State University, Michigan State University, University of Michigan, Penn State University, where the predators had secured themselves with the organization or the institution to protect them. Then they went to the guardian or the parent, which we saw with US Gymnastics, where they were taken to a camp in Texas. And the parents were not allowed to be there, but they had guardians. So the predator would groom the guardians as well. And then they would only then, oh boy, I can't even talk now. And when the first two were set up, then they would go to the child. And they don't do it the same way. That's the other thing I just want to make sure before we get into anything else, is they groom each child differently, which makes it very difficult to find a path or a systematical way that they're doing it. I have seen where a predator will groom 5 kids completely different. And if it gets too hot, they just move to another team. So basically, that was all what was happening, a little background there. And if you have questions, I'm happy to answer them. But the point for today was that during this whole time, I kept creating an outward self, if that's what I want to use, or we could call a false self, whatever you want to call it, because I started to believe in listening to what other people say. Now, the thing is that we do this to survive. We do this to make sure that we can kind of grasp about what's happening. Every one of us has had some type of trauma in our lives, and we have tried to justify that trauma with kind of coming up with ideas of why it happened, or we listen to other people telling us, well, it's because you're weak, or it's just because you're this, and so we start building this up, and it becomes our truth, and so we formulate this self that is not necessarily our true self, because our true self or authentic self has come with us when we came down here. That's what I truly believe. And it's within us constantly. It's right there always, but we bury it because we're being infiltrated by all this outside stuff. So by creating this outward self or whatever, was just to get through the day of practices and school and competitions and the abuse, because this was constantly happening every week, I was going to different places all the time. We would go to, if Ohio State went to the Rose Bowl, we got to go. We sat in the VIP section. That's where the abuse was happening during the game. So no one looks in the VIP section because that's where all the wealthy people are. And so if we would go to New Year's Eve party in France or England, we were taken all over the place. And we were presented that this was an incredible opportunity, that we were lucky. And I was actually normalized that this abuse was part of being an elite athlete. So needless to say, I never got the professional help I needed because some of the abusers were therapists. So, going into a therapist's office was like a trigger for me. So I said, no, until I met this young woman named Tracy Wright, and she was with the Self-Talk Institute that Dr. Helmstetter, Shad Helmstetter created. And her first thing that she ever said to me, and she heard my whole story, and she said, listen, we cannot change what happened. The events are already over with, they're done. But we can change the meanings that you place onto those events so that you no longer have to be a victim. And that really caught me. And so I said, all right, let's do this. I'm ready to try. And that's been the process that I've been going through for my life, is trying to change the meaning of what happened and to grow forward. And I think that that's been working for me. I really found freedom in that. It's helped me change how I look at things differently. And I got so passionate about it that I became a certified coach with the Self-Talk Institute as well, and I have been helping other survivors. So that's my kind of path through here. And so today I just want to like go through a little bit of what helped me so that you can also see what it was like. And I want this to be kind of like a discussion. So I'm going to ask questions and please jump up and share. The first thing I want to say is the word survivor has such a negative meaning lately. And especially with the Jeffrey Epstein episodes, the Cosby, the Weinsteins, all these people who have been abusing have been getting away with it for so long that now is the survivor the right word? And the thing I like to say is, I want you to come up with your own. I think we all need to figure that out. It could be survivor, it could be warrior, it could be thriver, it could be whatever you want it to be, but it's your definition. We all have gone through some type of trauma, and we've all experienced something that we may have created this outward self that's not connected to our true self. So basically what we do is we disassociate from our truth and we start creating all these other things. So and what we do is, and according to Dr. Shad Helmstetter, when we come down here, we are not able to speak and we're not able to formulate our own ideas at first. So we're like sponges, and we adopt and we adapt and we take in interpretations, everything that we hear around us. If the TV's playing, we start picking that up, and we start listening to these things, and we start creating, how do we fit within this world? How do we fit to belong to this group of people? How do we fit to da 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 da? And it's the same thing when we go into sports, especially elite sports. You actually go into a smaller group of people who have their own jargon, their own ideas, their own laws, their own rules, and the way that they talk and everything, the way that they coach. Is coaching diving is different from coaching swimming, although a lot of people will put those together, but they're two separate sports. And so a coach my coach would start touching me in front of a competition. He would, move my body, manipulate me help stretch me in front of everyone. So it made it look like it was just part of the ritual. And those touches went on later to become abuse. And that's how it all grows. That's how they get their victims into their position. So through my work, it's that voice inside of our head. It's the belief that I carried, that I formulated from all this outside stuff. And it's the identity that I thought I had to live through. And where was the true me? Somewhere hidden beneath all of this, And that's what we are trying to learn today, just to give you kind of example. And I'll try to use some of my story to help you do this. But right away, I just want to ask some of you all, when you hear the word survivor, thriver, warrior, or whatever you want to have, what does that mean to you?
An excellent question. Does anyone want to jump in there? Michael?
Sure, I don't mind. I don't
Okay.
mind. I don't
All right,
mind.
Thanks, Michael.
and then Sarah will follow you.
Swinwoods have a hard time. Swinwoods have a hard time keeping it in. So many thoughts go through my mind as you're speaking. It's an incredible story that you're telling us, and it hits upon so many. I mean, I had experiences as a lawyer having to defend a diving coach that you're describing. And so I'm very, very familiar with what you're speaking about in terms of the grooming and the kind of stuff that goes on. And so this is an imprint, and that's what you're basically saying. It becomes an imprint, and the reality that you're going through at that time is not at all like the reality around you, because you're being imposed upon to have an alternate reality. I'm thinking in terms of survivor and the word survivor. And it's interesting because, okay, I just went through a near-death illness, and I've never referred to myself as a survivor of cancer. I haven't. The narrative that I have spoken is one of what a gift. It was a gift. And in that gift was an experience. And in that experience was my ability to form understanding. And so understanding means to be able to stand under something. That's understanding. You get to stand under, which means you support what it is. And that's the essence of your message. The essence of your message is no longer were you going to support what had been imposed on you, but what you were going to do was find you. And that's the essence that you're speaking of. We all come in, we all come in the same way, each and every one of us. And personality and essence are the two main undertakings. And most of the time is spent in building personality, because if you don't build it, you're going to get left behind. You're not going to be part of the crowd. You're not going to be able to keep up. And one of the most beautiful things that you said in terms of expression was the idea of sponge. That's so gorgeous. What you said was, we all come in like this. We don't really have a relationship to reality. And then we take everything in. So everything, by the time you're 14, you're going, which way is up? And
Right.
they're telling you it's down. That's what they're telling you. It's not up, kid. It's down. And that's the essence again of experience. So of course, warrior is a much better expression of who you are than a survivor.
Mhm.
You're a warrior. Because in the end, as I see it, we all are given tests. Each one of us here in the room, each one of us can come forward and put our mountain, hill, ant hill, whatever, of experiences that have tested us to the core. And how you emerge. I went to a college whose Latin motto was Luctor et emergo, struggle and emerge. And the priest who ran the place was an incredible human being, Father Athol Murray. He was an orator, a philosopher, an ecumenist. He was ecumenical before they even could spell the word. He built the Tower of God at Notre Dame, Wilcox, Saskatchewan, with a wall to the Christian religion, a wall to the Muslim religion, a wall to the Jewish religion, and a wall to the great thinkers of the world. This was this man's mind. And what he kept saying all the time is, you do not grow except through adversity. Adversity is how you grow. So the gift in the end of the adversity is the overcoming. In the overcoming, brilliance emerges. You said you were nervous today to speak, and I understand it because we've all become intimate. All of us
Mhm.
here, this is an intimate circle. It's not just a public with 350 people and you can see them as naked, that's not what's going on here. What's going on here is true heart relationships that we've all developed through this undertaking on Sunday. So we've developed a family. So I, as your brother, applaud you for being such a warrior.
Thank you, Michael. That's so beautiful that I didn't really have that connection with the survivor as being a success story, but that's what survival is really, is a success story. So we have a couple more people who want to ask questions, John Michael. Thanks, Michael,
Please.
for that. We have a lot of Michaels
Th-
here.
Thank you,
Sarah,
Michael.
you're up next, and then Salisha will add her own question and or comment.
Yes, well, I'm going to answer the question, which is I guess it's a question, right? If there's another word for survivor. And also, John Michael, thank you so much. I actually have a lot of work to get done this morning and wanted to be here to support you. And I'm so glad to be here. I really didn't know any of your story. So as Michael says, I just love everyone here from seeing you on Sundays. And so I'm really delighted to hear this because it's so important. It's actually, I've got notes in front of me, not related to the actual work I'm doing, but I was taking these notes yesterday from the book Bringers of the Dawn by Barbara Marciniak. which we as a family read. I read this, I think, when I was 17, and I'm 47 now. And I revisit it frequently. And this can be, I can put the link in the chat actually as a PDF. So you can read the 2 chapters that I took notes on. Chapter 19 is igniting the internal flame. So immediately when you asked what could be another word other than survivor, I started writing. Integrator was the first thing I wrote down. Transmuter was another one. Frequency modulator. I still am not quite finding it because it's more than an integrator in my view. It's chapter 19 nails it in so many ways, where it says, remember what you are here to do. Detach from the drama to stop being a victim, and harmonize. So that's another one, harmonizer. But I think like the reason those words maybe are inappropriate or sound inappropriate, it's because we also want to acknowledge the darkness of the system that perpetuates this, that is so consistent. And you just explained it so succinctly, so beautifully, because it's just so rampant, and that's the system. But this is what chapter 19 talks about it as: the forces that took over the planet are raiding our reality to cause havoc, to nourish themselves from our emotional turmoil. So that's 19 talks about that. And then chapter 20 is all about sexuality. That's where it's like it's completely misunderstood, it's repressed, it's shamed, it's all these things that it's basically the idea of Earth having an original destiny, and then having other forces come, dark forces, and then begin to harvest from us to remove our power. And so the reason, scary, but the reason this chapter and why this book is so great is because it keeps saying you came here to do pretty much the impossible. Like we are we have to electromagnetically create a better frequency. And so what I see someone doing that has survived something that is of these dark energies, these dark forces that are intended to fragment us and essentially they're soul hunting. So the Pleiadians, this book, The Bringers of the Dawn, keeps reminding, we knew what we were coming here to do, and we knew it was not going to be easy. And what we're here to do is to transmute that and disconnect from it. And then also, if we can detach from our own story or victim story and understand that it's a universal experience, we can raise that frequency and heal the mass psyche. So it's a huge task, and it's just a massive undertaking. And it's reminded again and again, we can only do it really when we've walked through certain things. I help at-risk kids. I help kids that aren't interested in school, which I wasn't, and then I went on to do a master's. But there's all so many things where I felt that my light was being hunted, and grown-ups, they're there to nurture and help me, and they're gossiping about me in the staff room, trying to squash my light. What? I got nearly expelled once for doing a paper on Buddha, and I submitted the same Buddha paper to 2 different classes, but there's no one there to help you to cultivate in the levels it goes to. So I think it really is about seeing, understanding, and if we have the experience of going through things where we've been, it could have destroyed us, but it didn't, then we're here to teach others how to be modulators. And
Great, Sarah. Thank you. Fantastic. And to that end, John Michael, I want to ask you, maybe after Silesia makes her comments about, I think there was a teacher of yours who kind of caught on to what was going on, and sometimes it takes someone special who looks at others and says, there's something there that I want to dig into a little bit. So maybe you can share that with us. So Alicia, you would like to jump in at this point.
So when I hear the word survivor, I think of someone whose negative experiences has defined their identity. And I would say equally with the word victim, it's someone whose identity is defined by some unfortunate circumstance. I didn't hear the part of the question about coming up with a different word, but if I were to try to come up with a different word, I think someone said experiencer. So in any experience I have, I try not to react, although it's always a reaction. But I do try to take a moment where I decide if I want to respond or not respond. And then I try to think about what experience I want. And then I move forward with that intention. So if I were to try to come up with a different word than survivor or victim, I would use experiencer, just to move through life, thinking about what experience you want and not necessarily responding to things that happen to you.
That's beautiful. That really is. Thank you. Going back to I'm trying to think. I'm speechless by what you all have said, and it's amazing. I'm going to sit there and think about these later on and come back and say, hey, you guys, it's great. But going back into what Greg was asking me, I just want to share a little bit really quickly, if I can. People say that, a lot of times children who are abused do not report or come forward. And I believe that every child wants to tell someone. I really do. They may not know how to do it. They may not know where to go or whatever to do. And I did. I wanted to tell someone. And I remember on my 16th birthday, a car came to pick me up, and my mother was there at the door trying to make sure I'm ready. And I told her I didn't want to go. And she says, well, that's not right and very nice. He's right here. You've got to go. I said, I don't want to go. And she says, well, why? And I thought that this was the chance that I could tell someone and this could all end. And so I said that, he touches me. And she looked at me really funny. And then she slapped me across the face. And she said, this is a prominent person in the community. He's trying to help you with your diving. You cannot make up lies about this person. If anything ever happened, it was probably your fault. Now go. And this was my birthday. And I was sitting there stunned. I was like, yeah, I was 16. I probably could have fought back, but this is my mom. And so I went. And I remember that if my mother didn't believe me, nobody else would. So I kept quiet. But I also did other indicators at school. Like, I was a kid who did not like to have any kind of dirt on me. If I had dirt on my shirt, I found a way home to change so I can come back for the next period in a different outfit. So I decided that I'd wear the same thing for the whole week. And I picked the baggiest clothes. And I thought that if I could get an adult to ask me what was happening, then I could tell. Because in my contract was an NDA that I cannot go tell anyone. But I also knew that I had to respect my elders. If an adult asked me a question, I had to tell the truth. No one said anything. And then I thought, okay, I'll make this even worse. I would go for another week in the same clothes without showering. Again, no one said anything. And then the final thing that I tried was that I was one of those kids that if I cussed, everybody laughed because it just didn't fit with me. And so I decided that I was going to drop the F-bomb as loud as I could in the classroom, in the hallway, the locker room, the pool, anywhere I could. Again, no one said a word. Just recently, I met up with an old teacher of mine who saw the whole thing happening, and she apologized. And she said to me, we thought you were just under so much pressure representing the United States in international competitions that we kind of looked the other way. And I said, oh, great. Now, I went through all 4 years of high school, and then I went to a university out in California, and I never got the help that I needed. And the reason I bring this part up is that we will repeat cycles to get the help we need. And so I did. I guess I did something wrong to a grad student, He took advantage of the situation. The next thing I know, I wake up in the wooded area of school. I have to go to the emergency room, and I beg them not to tell anyone or not to tell my parents, especially, of course, being 17. They call my parents up. I get flown back home because my mother calls the lawyer. So the professionals brought me back. And I decided that I was going to go to a university locally, and it was a teacher there. She was a dance teacher from New York. She was on Broadway. She was a big deal. She called me into her office, and I wanted to take dance classes because I thought it was the closest thing to diving as I could get. And I had a little bit of talent in there. And she brought me in and she says, "Why are you here? Why are you taking this class?" And that's what I said, "I want to dance." And she says, "That's not true." And she started to talk with me over weeks, over that whole quarter. She would have me come into her office half an hour, 15 minutes, and she would just ask questions slowly. Finally, she got the whole story. She then proceeded to know that I had already had worked on General Hospital before I came back home. And she called the casting director there and said, "Can you get him extra work? And can you get him a place to stay?" He said, "Yes." She gave me a one-way ticket and she said to me, "Do not tell your mother where you are because she is giving the information to the predators. Go." And that's her vision, or whatever she saw, whatever it was that she saw in me, she knew she had to talk to me. And I like kind to say she was a savior in a way. And she really took the time and found out, and she asked questions. And that's the whole point of what I do now is when I speak around the world, is tell people, if you see something, ask, just start talking. And it doesn't have to have all the answers right away. Don't push it. Just start making sure that you follow your instincts, because her instinct was right. And she took the time. And I am so grateful for that. And the other thing I want to share is that this outward character that I created to survive was based on lies, if I could say that. Things like judgment. I would say to myself, "That was stupid. I was stupid to allow this to happen." Or, "I'm not smart." There was fear. What if this goes wrong? What if I'm, that our comparison, everybody else must be better than me. Why did they choose me? And it always took a negative side. But if you think about it, if you go back and you look at some of those statements, there's truth within there. I'm not good enough. If you take out one word, not, it says, I am good enough. So a weird thing that I've been thinking about is I've been carrying the truth with me this whole time. I've just been coloring it with one word or maybe two words. So that's just something else I just wanted to share, is that we hear the truth that is locked within the lie sometimes. Um, and we know the difference between what is true and what is not, because when we talk to our truth or our spirits or whatever, there's a calmness to it. And usually that voice within our head is the calm voice. When we talk about the outside voice, the ego voice, or whatever you want to call it, it's really loud and it's pushing and it's judgmental. It's all these things, and it's a matter of learning the differences. And so I just find that it's incredible, and I have found that coming to this group on Sundays has been helping me hear the quieter voice and helping me try to follow that. Like I took a hike this morning with my two dogs, which are Boston Terriers, and I said, I'm just going to give over today. I'm just going to let whatever happens happen, and I'm not going to worry about this. Sharing with you all, I really had a hard time last night with it, thinking, "Oh, I don't want to do this. I'm not good at this." All these negative thoughts, and then I started realizing that I am good enough. And you all have shared that with me. Michael, what you said to me brought tears to my eyes. And Sarah and Carlina, I think I said your name wrong. I mean, Celicia, I'm sorry, is that your support and your love came through. And I saw it in your eyes, each one of you. When you spoke and you shared what you thought survivor meant, I sometimes didn't even actually hear the words that you were saying. I saw the love coming out of your eyes. and I saw the love in your voice, and I just felt like I was wrapped up with this incredible embrace from all of you. So I really want to thank you for that.
John Michael, and there's more love coming your way. I can tell you, Koryanka's going to jump in here with some of her wisdom. Of course, I just wanted to say, this idea that you're painted as the wonder child, the wonder boy who, is going on to the Olympics, um, paints this picture for you where you can't not be that person. You can't let your family down. And then these sort of evil contracts that your family and you were forced to sign kind of, cemented the idea that you have to keep your mouth shut. It's just a horrifying thing to think that people can be sort of manipulated in this way. It's just amazing that you've devoted your life now really to changing the conversation for others in your situation and those around them as well. Koryanka, I know you would like to share some thoughts.
Yes, I'd like to speak from the point of view of a sister who has gone through her own dark nights of the soul. So I had many opportunities to choose what I wanted to stand for and call myself, going back to the conversation about survivor, or what is the word that could, at that moment, be part of our identity as we are going through stuff and afterwards. I personally never embraced the word survivor because, at least in my view, it felt like it spoke about the other people involved or the situation that was terribly painful. And so that connection didn't feel right for me. But what really served me was the word alchemizer, or going through the alchemy, because that felt much more empowering to me. It brought back the spotlight on me and what I was capable of doing with what had happened. So for me, it was about transforming that which was so painful into the doorway to a return to myself, a more empowered, connected, tapped in version of myself. So every time I have gone through the dark night of the soul, that has served me well. Seeing that whatever happened and all of those tears and the pain, whatever was the dark story, was actually going to serve me well. And it depended on me how I alchemized, transformed that into the gold that I was capable of transforming. And it all happened with the help of divine light, source energy intervention. That is the key element to alchemize darkness into light, is taking that divine spark and illuminating whatever was dark. And in illuminating that which was dark, you get to see that there is all kinds of gifts in that. And it starts being the starting point for writing a new story where you actually are not the victim of anything or a survivor of anything, but actually you are your own savior, your own strength. And it's just a transformational experience all and by itself. Going through that, sure enough, it can require a lot of help from experts, people who love you along the way. Part of it is your own inner work. And even when you get help from somebody else, and I say this being myself a healer, a supporter of healing, that is, I don't take credit for the healing of anyone who has received my services and support. I give the power back to them. It's their accomplishment. I am just there to support the healing as a healer. But yes, it's a matter of receiving support and opening up to that, and taking back your power in the process, and also being a key participant in your own healing. So that's what I wanted to contribute to the conversation today.
That's wonderful, Koryanka. Alchemizer, alchemy. We're stirring together that creation, really. That's wonderful. We have Sarah and then Michael as well. Before that, John Michael, I know you just won an international award, and I was wondering if you could quickly tell us about what that was, and because I think your family here would like to know.
Well, thank you, Greg. It was called, or it is called, the Trudy Hero Award, and it's given to someone who is helping with children who have been sexually abused. And I actually was one because I'm talking about males and constantly trying to keep the communication open. And that even with the Jeffrey Epstein situation, males are being abused at the same time, but we're not talking about them because it's easier not to talk about males based on our government here in the United States and who's in power and stuff. So it's like males don't report. They don't, because our society says that you can't rape a man, you can't do this, and if it happens, they really wanted it, and it's all this other stuff. So a lot of our people are stuck, actually. And I like to think that if we could go back and talk to all the men who have committed suicide, we would probably find out that they had been abused as children or teenagers, and they just didn't know what to do. And it's such shame and guilt based on our society that we feel that that's the only way out. And so I've had that experience of thinking about doing that myself. And it's sad because there's so many incredible people that we're losing and no one's talking about it. It's like a silent thing again. But thank you. And yeah, so that's what it was. And that's why I got the award. And I'm actually very honored. It came out of nowhere. I was surprised. And thank you so much for bringing it up.
And also, if you could, I know you've written some books. Maybe perhaps you want to just write the title of them onto our chat while we continue the conversation. We have 3 hands up now, Sarah, Michael, and Susan as well. So we're going to continue on to reflect on all that you've shared with us. Sarah?
Well, I got very excited because of all these synchronicities, and this happens here, in this room every time we're together. And I'm really blown away. Koryanka, thank you so much for your share by what you said, how that's also in my notes. I had just written down, instead of asking, why is this happening to me? Ask, how can I alchemize this? Right? And so alchemy is exactly what we were talking about, being a transmuter, an integrator. But I couldn't find the word. I was like, that's not it though, because it's integrating and raising. That's what alchemy is. It's turning lead into gold. It's turning personality into essence. It's raising the frequency. And again, John Michael, there's so much more. I'll have to get your contact so that I can send you a message, because I'm also doing a lot of research on integrating shame and internalizing, especially for men. And it's just, before I came here to Soul School, I was spurred to put on the song Return to Innocence by Enigma. Don't be afraid to be weak. Don't be too proud to be strong. Just look into your heart, my friend. That will be the return to yourself, the return to innocence. And I thought, I kind of laughed. Hey, I'm like, why am I listening to this again? And I press play again. And it was related to what I'd read in the Bringers of the Dawn. It said, give yourself a lot of loving encouragement. Welcome the difficulties because they can be your greatest teacher. Stay focused on your own growth, your own path, your own self, and not what others are doing. Call on your own internal masculine and feminine and set up a dialogue between them. so they can begin to work in partnership and harmony. Give yourself a lot of love and encouragement. Say, I love you, self. You are a wonderful self. When you give yourself the dignity of your own love, as if you were royalty receiving the accolades of all the people, everything changes. When you believe in yourself and love yourself, everything starts to go your way. The most difficult thing for most is making the commitment to believe that we deserve love. No one else has to love you. You're not here to go around gathering love from people or convince them that you are worth it. You are here to master a very difficult task in a system that is very dark and gives us little information of what is actually going on. So, if you can make your number one commitment to waking up every morning and loving yourself first, everything will fall into place. And it goes on, and it's so part and parcel because I woke up this morning next to my partner who is struggling with a lot of the things you're discussing, but the discussion is not really fully there yet because of what you said about men and internalization of and not being able to integrate shame. And you just a couple things that you said, John Michael, were like, if only he could hear that. It's like it's so simple and it's so quick, but about that dialogue of that self-loathing, and then you connect it to I'll wrap it up here. You connect it to if you make it your goal to commit to loving yourself first and being whole and complete within yourself, and then loving your partner or whatever loved ones are around you, in and seeing when they're not meeting you there, they're just not doing that practice of loving themselves first. And for some people, it's very difficult to get to that place. And so to unconditionally love someone really is to first do it ourselves and accept them with whatever they're going through, and also be careful of the emotional turmoil because that is how these dark forces harvest from us, right? Is like don't get pulled into it. And yeah, it's a monumental task. So I'm just so grateful for you. Thank you, thank you, thank you.
Thanks, Sarah. Every mind is a world, as I've been taught by Michael and Susan. We have to be mindful of what everyone else is going through, even if we don't know.
I was wondering if you, John Michael Lander, saw, or let's say I saw John Michael Lander briefly, and you're in high school, or the person's in high school, and I'm just passing through. Maybe you're at a diving event, and I see you are one of those people. You're John Michael Lander. What is something you would say to that person briefly, and would it be advice of something to do internally, or would it be advice to change the circumstance?
That's a question I think about a lot, actually. What would I say to myself if I went back and I could see myself going through this? One of the things I think I would say would be to make sure that to look inward and listen to what's going on inside and know that you're not alone. You never were alone, you know. Um, we're always connected. I don't think that if I could say this, this is going to sound weird, that God abandoned me during this time, because a lot of times when the abuse was happening, I felt this strange feeling that there was some type of being surrounding me, because I felt like I would disassociate from my body, which was being over here, and I'd go over another area. But I always felt like this wing was wrapping around me, and I kept hearing this thing, "You're okay, you're okay." And so I just would keep reminding that young person, "You're okay." You know, you need to find your voice. You need to find a way to share with someone that you trust, which eventually I got to, but it was much later than I should have. If I had the ability at 14 to be able to go tell someone, I think I would. But like Greg and Mike had said, I was carrying the weight of my family with me. I thought I was doing this for them as well. And so I could come up with all these reasons to allow it to happen, if that makes sense.
Um,
And I think it was so normalized to me that I thought this is what elite athletes had to go through. This was just part of it. You know, I also think that if Simone Biles and Ali Raisman didn't stay in the sport of gymnastics as long as they did, we would not be talking about Larry Nassar anymore. And I'm so grateful for those two women because they gave me the strength to be able to share my story, although they're much younger than I am. But, you know, I don't know if I answered your question.
yeah, you did. Just when the whole world seems to be conspiring, your parents, the other kids, the coaches, the therapists, do you just wait it out? Like there's nothing you could do to find relief or help? And, you know, you spoke about not saying anything, but everybody knew it was an open secret, and you did say something, and you did call attention to yourself. So then what's the way out? Do you just wait it out until you age out of the situation? Do you just keep saying it until somebody listens?
I think it's that or I think sometimes I was so distracted from who I truly was, my true self, if that's what we want to call it, that I was looking for anyone to give me some idea of who I truly was. And I think that that's what that professor did at the university that I went to, the dance teacher. She got that point to me to start turning it around and start seeing. Because when I came back to Ohio after that first year of freshman out in University of California, I was put back into the organization. And she started to really take the time and almost, this is going to sound crazy, almost deprogram me. You know, it was almost like a brainwashing in a way that this was allowed to happen. And I allowed it to happen because I thought that's what I was supposed to do. And you know, I wanted to be an Olympian so bad that I thought, okay, this is what it is. And she was saying, no, it's not that, you know. And through her, I actually changed my world. I became a dancer. I danced in New York. I danced, you know, the first revival of a chorus line. I did all these incredible opportunities based on what she started to show a little bit of who I really was. So sometimes I think it does take an outside person to notice it. But if you can really look inside, I think you can do it yourself. But I think it also is scarier that way because we don't know what to believe because we've been so programmed and we have programmed it over and over in our heads as well. Does that make sense?
Yeah, I mean, what I'm taking away from what you said is the first step is you have to catch yourself. You have to say, wait, this is not me. This is who I am. I respect myself. I revere myself. And this is how I want to move forward, or this is what I need. And however you deal with the situation has to come first from really catching yourself or centering yourself and saying, oh, wait a second. Whoa, what's going on? No. This is what I need, and this is what I need to do.
I agree. Yes.
Thank you.
Thank you.
It's certainly one of the reasons why, you know, we hear these adult survivor stories, and you know, it takes many years for people to have that self-awareness or strength to step forward. Susan, would you like to share some thoughts?
I would. Thank you. I just want to first off say thank you so much, John Michael, for all that you have shared here this morning. I was so delighted to meet John Michael about 15 months ago as a gift really through the Self-Talk Institute, that they will give you a session with one of their coaches. And I won the lottery and I drew John Michael. And we've just been having such incredible, wonderful conversations over time because John Michael is, I'm going to use the word instead of survivor, he's a thriver. He's thriving. And I see that because he embodies forgiveness, he embodies compassion, well, I'm talking to you, John Michael, you embody compassion, forgiveness, all these virtues of the soul that have brought you through this challenging experience and turned it into something that was for you, not against you. So I've always been so taken by John Michael and your sage advice and wisdom, and you're just the best cheerleader. And I just want to bring it to Mother's Day today, because I'm thinking about all the mothers who have children who've gone through these experiences and they didn't know about it, or they didn't believe it or want to believe it for all the reasons we can understand that John Michael explained to us, be that financial and all the things that are driving our lives, the fears that we experience. And I think about the mothers. It's Mother's Day. You know, we make so many quote unquote mistakes. We didn't get any lessons. We didn't get any coaching ourselves on being a mom and doing it right and believing our children. And, you know, I like to think that I would believe my child in a circumstance like this. And I don't think I know that for sure. Like, we are all caught up in all these competing interests and challenges and pressures and responsibilities. And there's things right in front of us and we're just not seeing it. So I think that the self-talk, you know, that must come out of that for people about being bad or wrong, or how could they have not known, you know, this kind of self-talk doesn't help us. What really helps us is the self-talk that has us honoring our humanness and knowing we can do better, we can be more awake. And there's just so much healing that we're doing together and through this shared experience. So, John Michael, sharing your experience today, to me, is very healing for me and for other people as we understand at what we're all dealing with in this human condition. So thank you very much, John Michael, for being with us today.
Thank you so much for being who you are. You mean
And
the world to
happy
me.
Mother's Day, Susan, and also
Yes,
Sheila.
happy Mother's Day.
Thank
Yes,
you.
everyone.
We might as well say
Thank
that now. Yeah, really good insight on, you know, do we really know? As Susan points out. Ku, I know you'd like to join in the conversation, so let's open the floor to you.
Okay, yeah, I'm a bit nervous, but I just want to comment on the part where John Michael mentioned when he shared his experience about, like about men getting raped and all that, like able to express your own vulnerability. And I think I really resonate with that so much, especially with the shame and the guilt. And not only that, it's hard for men to really express and be vulnerable and to speak his truth. I can really share my experience on top of that. And when they do start to speak and express, a lot of the times they might end up getting shamed or feeling more guilt, and then they end up hardening themselves. And I just see, because I'm from Japan, and Japan's probably one of the worst places because the men surrounding around me is just all like hardened and like all like in their walls, unable to love. And I myself also, like I've been doing a lot of inner work and feeling. I learned the technique called feeling is healing. I'm reading the book called Letting Go, and that also means letting go of not just letting go of negativity, but letting go of that resistance to positivity and to love. And that is something that is so hard to do because we're so programmed by the culture today, by the gender role culture, by society, by education, by media. That's why I avoid all that crap, all of that, and I just focus on myself, and I just embrace the inner authenticity and vulnerability and my inner child essence. That is who I am. And as you know, I actually do Kung Fu. If you see my picture, I also do singing. And I find out that the more that I'm able to let energy flow freely without without others restricting me and controlling me and shaming me and guilt, like all of this hardening, whatever, puts me into a resistance of not able to love others. So this is what I found. I have this resistance to not able to love others. Like I can't love my families because I'm afraid that if I express my love, they will like I'll be shamed for it. They will not take it seriously. I don't have the capacity to express love while not being heard, but at the end being attacked and being shamed. So this applies to everyone. But back to the kung fu, I find that if I'm able to not if I train based on freedom, body liberation, instead of like military training, discipline, and I can move really fast. My mobility is really good. I am able to do, and I have more energy, a lot more energy. It's like our source of energy comes from positivity and the inner child freedom. And so, yeah, that's what I want to say. I feel better.
Thank you.
It's so interesting, and Michael obviously found some of that freedom in dance, and then obviously in other performance arts as well, as we're learning more and more about all of the success you've had in your life. Let me turn things over to Michael.
Thanks a lot. I see we're running over here an hour, and this has been an incredible healing, an incredible group healing, and it's been so deep and profound in that now I carry in my heart and my soul John Michael Lander and his experiences. They're with me, and we share that brotherhood there on the basis of understanding, of that understanding. And I came upon, I don't know, it just something that came into my head, and it was, you cannot be unless you are. And think about that. You cannot be unless you are. And so it strikes right on personality versus essence. And the being is the essence. And you can't be unless you're in with your essence. And that's the undertaking that we all talked about today. And that this is what you put your finger on, is this incredible existence of essence, which is what brings us through. All of us brings us through. So today being Mother's Day and honoring all the mothers, the fact that Susan's in Canada and I'm in Peru and we're not able to be together on Mother's Day or my birthday, it's soon to be rectified, because Wednesday she arrives from Canada back to Peru, back to home, which I'm very excited and happy about. And I came upon something, and it's something I think I want to read all of you, because it sums up for me the essence of what we've done here today. I hope I can make it through without getting tear jerky, but anyway, I came upon something that was sent to me on Susan's birthday in 2012. 2012, my God. And I had written it down in my book, and I was going through this book of old notes, and I came upon it. And so I want to read it to you, because it honors the mothers, all the mothers here. My love to our precious Lady Sue. Okay. Beauty divine, simple and gentle. That is who you are. A subtle storm, eyes all seeing, the knowing of what's to come. A healing touch. A loving smile. You spread your grace to so many. That was today.
Beautiful, Michael. Yeah, a mother's love. And John Michael, do you want to make any final comments before we wrap things up?
I just want to say thank you so much. like Michael said, this was a giant healing for me as well. And to feel the love that's coming through this computer screen, I cannot even find the words to begin to say what it's like. So thank you all. Um, I just see such incredible light coming from all of you. So I thank you for this opportunity to share.
Thank you. We are the best thing on Zoom. I'm pretty sure of that, and on YouTube. I was going to ask Sue if she has, since it is Mother's Day, if she has the ability and the time to share the mantra of unification, just to bring us together one last time.
Thank you. It would be my pleasure. And because my Wi-Fi quit earlier and Greg took over the recording, I have no access to the website to share it with you. So I'll just go ahead and say the prayer, and if you'd like to share along with me. The sons and daughters of men and women are one, and I am one with them. I seek to love, not hate. I seek to serve and not exact due service. I seek to heal, not hurt. Let pain bring due reward of light and love. Let the soul control the outer form and life and all events, and bring to light the love which underlies the happenings of the time. Let vision come and insight. Let the future stand revealed. Let inner union demonstrate and outer cleavages be gone. Let love prevail. Let all people love. Miigwech. Amen. Namaste. Thank you, thank you, thank you. And thank you for that very sweet message, Michael, for me and for all mothers. I so appreciate it. Love you, honey. Thank you.